Deputy, if you'd step in front of Brittany, we'll get you sworn in, please.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the judge to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties? Sir, if you could state your name and spell your last name, please.
It's Deputy Vincent Nguyen, Nguyen.
Where do you work?
Summit County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you worked there?
Since 2012.
What's your assignment at the sheriff's office?
Right now as a patrol deputy.
And what about back in 2022? What was your assignment then?
Patrol deputy.
What does a patrol deputy do?
Respond to calls and report or document incidents, crimes.
What kind of calls does a patrol deputy get called on?
It could be citizen complaints, burglaries, anything that a citizen wants to report.
Did you have law enforcement experience before coming to the Summit County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
What's that?
I worked at the Corona Police Department for over 3 years.
At the Summit County Sheriff's Office, are you issued a body camera to use?
Yes, I was.
And tell the jury about what do you do with your body camera when you're on duty?
So my body camera is always on until I activate my lights or manually activate it on the body camera itself. Then it starts recording.
And was that the same back in 2022?
Yes.
Were you on duty on March 4th of 2022?
Yes.
And were you dispatched to 282 Willow Court Drive?
Yes, I was.
If we could have Exhibit 1-1, please. This has already been admitted. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And is this the home that you responded to that morning?
Yes.
Is it located in Summit County?
Yes, it is.
What time did you arrive at this home approximately?
Approximately 3:40 in the morning.
And when you entered, who was there?
Sergeant Di Botello, Deputy Pimentel, and also fire personnel.
Was Miss Richins there?
Yes, she was.
What about her kids? Were they present?
I was made aware that they were in the residence, but I did not see them.
And you were wearing your body camera on that day?
Yes, I was.
And it was active?
Yes, it was.
All right. If we could show the witness Exhibit 1-4T, please.
He can see it. Counsel can see it.
Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And Scott, go ahead and scroll through it so he can see to the end. What is it?
It's my body camera footage with a blurred spot.
I'm sorry, Scott. Can we put up 1-4T? Do you recognize
yes. Transcript.
And what is it a transcript of?
Of what was on my body camera.
Fair and accurate representation of the words that were spoken on your body camera that night?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move to admit 1-4T.
I think you're going to the same place I'm going to it.
There are multiple speakers here. Would you folks approach for 1 minute? You see a video that has audio. The audio is also represented as part of a transcript on the bottom. There are multiple speakers in this video. There's the deputy, there's some other people, there is the defendant. You may take everything the defendant says as true and give it whatever weight you think it deserves, if any. You cannot take what the deputy or the other people say is true. You can only consider those statements for context regarding what the defendant was responding to, the effect on the listener. Anything further on that, Mr. Ramos?
No, Judge, thank you.
Okay. So let's see. Do you want to admit that number that you just mentioned?
Yes, please.
Would you give me the number one more time?
1-4 with the letter T for
Okay.
transcript.
Exhibit 1-4T, as in Tesla, is admitted. Where do you want to go next?
Now if we could show the witness 1-4D, like David. Do you see it on your screen there?
Yes, I
Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's my body camera.
And is it fair and accurate representation of your body camera that night?
Yes.
Are there any changes to it?
Yes, there's a blur in the middle.
And with the exception of that blur, everything else is the same.
Yes.
And has this clip been cut down from your original video?
Not this clip.
Other than his asthma. Yeah, I think he has Lyme disease, but I mean, it's painful sometimes.
What does he take? What medicine does he take? Can you find it and tell us?
Good. Yeah.
Hey guys. And on downtime. Denise has got here. He's had 2 Eppies and Narcan. 2 Eppies, 1 Narcan. Blood sugar is 458.
Sam, you want to come out?
No history. We have chest pain when we went to bed.
What's your first name? What's your first name? Yeah, let me talk to you about this for a second. Let them do their work in there. So what happened today?
We were just fine. We were fine.
Oh, when you say we were fine, what time did you see him when he was alert?
We had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow.
Okay.
We went to bed. I went to bed with my kids. He went to bed in our bed.
What time did you guys go to bed?
9:30.
9:30. Okay.
9:45.
And then what alerted you to him today? Right now.
I just woke up. When I sleep with my kids, I always wake up and I go back in my own bed.
Mm-hmm.
I just crawled over on his side.
And he was laying in bed. Okay.
He was on his back on the bed, and
Okay. And he was on. You said he was on his back. Okay. Where are your children now?
asleep in that room. 2 are awake with their ear to the door.
And
Come out, please don't let them come out.
where are the other 2 at that are awake?
No, my bedroom.
And where's that at?
Right there, first one to your left.
Okay. Is there any family members we can call right now?
Yeah, I need to call my mom. I need to call my mom so bad.
Okay.
I think I don't know. They have one still on the phone. I don't know.
Here. Okay.
I call my mom.
Yep. I'll give you a phone right now. Okay.
I need to call his dad. He's gonna be okay, right? Like I got in bed and then I just got.
Yeah, they're doing their best. Okay, ma'am. Here, you can use my phone.
Mom. 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 Go to my house. Go to my house.
What's going on?
I don't know. Something's wrong with Eric. The police have gone through here. It's like, I don't know what's happening. He wasn't breathing. I don't know.
Who?
Eric.
Where's he at?
He's at my house. He's at my house.
I'm on my way.
I think my partner found your phone. Is this it right here? Does he have any medical conditions or anything like that?
He has Lyme's disease.
Lyme's disease?
But nothing major. Like,
Okay. So no heart problems or anything like that?
no, he just said his chest was hurting when he went to bed. That's, not. He doesn't drink enough water, when he gets on the bike downstairs. I don't know, it didn't. It really makes sense. And then he just said he was really tired because he got his allergy shots yesterday morning.
Okay.
With my son, they went to Ghetto.
Then when did you discover him? What time?
I got up, I got my phone. It was maybe 3.
About 3. Did you immediately call the 911?
Yeah, well, I got up and, as soon as I turned over, he was cold.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like something was wrong. So, I mean, I just put the blanket on it because I just thought it was for her cold. So and then I sat there for a minute and I just didn't feel like it's like breathing or anything. And so I oh my God.
Okay.
Alright. And he just felt so heavy.
Mm-hmm. Any COVID or anything like that?
We all just got over COVID.
Okay. And when was that?
Weeks ago.
Okay, so not recently.
But he just like had a negative test. So I was the last positive, and then he had it. So his last negative test was a week ago.
Okay. Hey, ma'am, what's your name? I'm sorry, what was that?
Kouri.
With a C?
Kouri. Weed gummies. Sometimes I'll go gummies before he goes to bed.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't seem like you did though.
It's like a gummy, as in like a THC gummy? Okay. And who is his primary care physician?
Herb Lovely in person.
Who?
Herb Lovely.
How do you spell it? How's
P-L-E-Y.
Lepley? When was he last seen?
Just a physical. Like, that's fine.
When was that?
It's Wednesday. Oh my God. Oh my God. What do you mean? He was just fine. He just was fine.
Family members are going to be coming. His dad. Kids are in that door over there. There's 2 kids that are awake. They're in that door. This one. Here, she said to the left. Yeah, I think that was master bedroom. Or the master bedroom. So basically she said, went to bed at 9:30. She slept with the kids because then she goes to bed. When she went to bed, at around 3 o'clock, moved into her bed. He was cold and heavy. He has Lyme disease. He got an allergy shot yesterday. He might have taken a gummy, THC gummy, last night. So, but other than that, just Lyme disease.
I already have dispatch call Emmy and Dix.
It's probably gonna be bigger since it's here.
I don't know. Whoever the on-call is.
Yeah, like he wasn't safe. Like he. Did you call someone to come here too? I don't remember. Okay. Where are you coming from?
1K32. What's my case number? Copy. Yeah, affirm. And the complaint's going to be to the wife, first name of Kouri.
You lost the sound. I don't know if you had an aneurysm or something with all the blood. There's a lot of blood for some unknown reason.
Were you first on thing?
We were second, but also fire guy was here before us.
And there was blood before you get.
A little bit coming out as soon as we start doing compressions with the Lucas is when the blood came out. So.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
No pulse or anything?
No,
Okay.
no, he was cold. I think he did for a while. Not a long time, but he went down a minute. He was asystole the whole time, so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Pretty young.
Yeah.
Maybe took some gummies,
Yeah, that's what you
that's
said.
what she said. And then the hydrocodone. I think there was hydrocodone or something.
It
From
was
96 or something.
2016.
2016, yeah. Pretty old.
Did you take that?
We don't know. It was
It's
sitting
in the-
there though.
It's in the drawer right there.
There's something.
It
What
is.
is this right here? Is that it? Are you taking for Lyme disease?
Yeah.
Not check for-
Turnage looked at it, said it was filled in 2016.
Yeah, that one.
It's under his name. I think he sleeps on that side of it though.
With what? That might be hers. Is it in
It's
his
his.
name? Oh, it's his. Okay. But it's empty, right? There's nothing in
Yeah.
it? Maybe we gave him Narcan. That would have, if he would have been.
Then you arrived, he was already on the floor. Right?
Yeah, she had pulled him down to the floor.
Kouri? I'm gonna need to ask you some questions real quick, okay? Has he ever been in the military?
No,
No. Does he use tobacco?
no.
No. And what does he do for a living?
He owns a stone mason company.
And then when you discovered him, was he on the bed? Yes.
He was just laying on his side like normal.
Okay.
I just thought he was cold. Just it was cold in there, so I put the blanket on him.
Yeah.
But his body just felt like heavy, and
And which way was he facing? Was he facing towards?
no, he was just up, just facing up.
Oh, so he's laying on his back.
Facing on his
Okay.
back.
And then did you pull him to the ground?
Yeah, that's what the lady on the phone told me to do.
Okay.
Was the sheet and pull the sheet
Okay.
to the ground so I could do CPR.
Okay. What's his highest level of education?
It's a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
This
Any
man's been active. He didn't just die in his sleep. This is insane.
mental health conditions? No. Okay. How about any suicidal
No,
history? No.
Never.
Okay.
No.
Has he been seen by a doctor in the last 30 days?
No.
Has any prescriptions been filled in the last 30 days? No. Has he had a history of falling or anything? No. Any history of prescription abuse? No.
I mean, no, when he was in high school and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe a reaction to his shots yesterday.
I mean, he said he didn't feel good from them. Like,
He didn't look good last night.
he looked pale last night. And I asked if you were okay. And he said, yeah. But he was saying his chest was hurting. But
Has he have any history of illicit drug use or anything in the past year?
no, never.
Okay. Okay. Do you have the phone number to Herb, his doctor? A chance.
I don't. It's just at the Park City Family Clinic and Hospital. Or,
Yeah, I can look it up.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Who told the boy? Kouri said a cop told him. Why would you tell a child?
No, they shouldn't have told him my answer.
Oh.
They all know. They told me.
How do they know?
Well, Carter told me, a cop told me.
Would they have told him?
No, I wouldn't think.
We were in there, so we were maybe a fire
Do they
department.
know?
Maybe they, yeah.
Oh my freaking God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God.
God, that number just kept ringing this morning, and I thought,
Yeah, because we couldn't find her phone.
somebody called from a cell phone, and then when you Google it, it says it's a spoof number. I'm gonna go up here to these people.
Mom, is the door closed to my room?
Yes, we-
They won't let me. Is he still in?
So I'll explain to you what the process is right now. Because he was in good health and his age and everything like that. Okay, our medical examiner is going to come and do their investigation real quick, and then also our detective, just to make sure that everything's documented, correctly. And then from there, they'll explain to you what's going to happen. Most likely, what I'm thinking, because he has no serious health problems or anything like that. His age, most likely they're gonna take his body to the
Oh my God.
medical examiner's office just to make sure that there wasn't anything else.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions for me right now?
No. He had allergy shots yesterday.
Yeah, and that's what she was
He wasn't feeling
saying.
good last night when I was here.
What kind of allergy shots?
He gets weekly shots. He's
Him and his boy get weekly shots.
wonderful. Just feel it.
Like seasonal allergies.
Yeah.
Okay. And where was that at?
Park City.
Park City.
Family medical.
No. Jeremy Ranch, Granger Medical.
Granger? Okay.
Oh my God.
I did. They're all watching TV. I said, you guys gotta go back to sleep. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Cam?
Yeah. Need to go over there and sell it court to get the van keys.
Okay.
So, leave this here with you.
Yep.
We don't know. We went to bed.
Hey, Clint, here, he's gonna help. Where are my boys?
The kids are in
Is it his sister? Where's my brother?
He's in this room.
No.
Corey, is there a way we could relocate your boys upstairs?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I'll tell her to. What? Wait. Come on. Come on. Bob, come on. Bob, stay down. I love you so much. Come on, my sweetheart. Sweetheart. Come on, sweetheart. Come on.
We're good now. I can explain to her if you want to go.
I miss everything. I miss Chris, Will, everything. I miss Paraphernalia attorney. I miss everything.
You don't have to
Go
worry about
upstairs.
that kind of stuff right now.
Upstairs with the boys. Go upstairs with the boys. I'm sorry.
No, it's all it's natural, okay? Just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Okay, I gotta breathe. Oh my God, I gotta breathe. I just talked to him like a couple hours ago. He just woke up and he wasn't breathing. I'm not breathing. I went to bed. I went back to bed because I have nightmares. So I went back in our room and I was breathing. And I just turned over to cuddle him, and his body was just so cold. He'd been gone a while.
So the only information I know from what the medical staff that was here is he was cold to the touch, okay, and it seemed like he was down for a while. So
He was fine at 9:30. I mean, that's when I went to the bedroom with Ashton. I mean, so unless he went, like, I didn't hear anything. He didn't yell. He didn't say anything was wrong. And nothing happened. Like, nothing happened. Oh my God, this is not real. Nothing happened. Like, I didn't hear anything. I'm right across the room. Like, if he was in pain, why didn't he yell? It sounds like he wasn't. I know, but I mean, I'm such a light sleeper. I could have heard anything. I just could have heard anything. If he just said, Kouri, like, I would have. He was so cold. He was so cold. I have to get to I lost my mom said that they already found some help and I great. I'm here for you though. Hey, I can make it through this. I don't know, but we're gonna make it out of it. He was funny with those boys. Not just for those boys. Okay. It doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem real. No. Yeah. This is real. I'm probably gonna go. I can't see your back. I can't talk to you. I'm sorry, I can't. I couldn't remember. I can't. Okay, so what do we just have to look it up? What do we have to do?
What's that?
Is there anything that we need to do?
So we're just going to document some. So there's some protocols we have to document. Like I explained to them, next thing is our detective and our medical examiner is going to respond to the location.
Okay.
They're going to do their investigation and document everything. And then most likely, because of his age, his health and everything else,
You've got to do it by policy.
most likely. But that's
I
their
don't think I could stand that.
that's their field, not ours. So for us, our thing is now we have to just secure the scene until they get here, and then once it's released,
It was fine.
it's up to them. And then most likely you guys will be able to,
I told the guy that.
I think we want to go to the funeral home in Morgan.
Okay. And that's something you could talk to our medical examiner about.
I mean, they take so much time. It, I don't know. Seriously, we were just laughing and looking at like, I don't know, we talked about tomorrow. We were celebrating. We were just celebrating you guys all for what? What was happening? Like, he was fine. He was fine. Like, and he. We were 9:30, 9:45. Like, I know. I know. And then he's like, well, let's have a drink and then let's go to bed. So I was like, okay. So we did, and then that was it. Good night, I love you. Good night, I love you. That was all. Good night, I love you. It was so cold. It just was so cold. I said, Aaron.
Is there any animals that sleep in the bedroom with him?
Yeah,
The dog.
The dog on the bed with him?
Most of the time. He's like a 10-pound little poopy. So
Okay. Was he
with Eric Saturday.
on the bed when you came in?
Was he on the bed?
No, he, No, he wasn't in there before I came in. Is your dad on the way, Katie? I don't know. He called me. And I just like screamed and everyone woke up and then we're here. I don't think he can even function, Kouri. I'm trying to find someone to go with. Oh, my dad's almost here. Oh my god, I can't tell him, Katie. I can't do it. I'll do it. I don't. It's fine. He was fine. I'll do it. My sister's almost here.
Can you just please explain to them the process that they can't pass the threshold until it's really
Okay.
yeah.
Was that what you're doing, Steve?
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were like seeing if I was gonna pass out or something.
No,
'Cause I, like my.
And that too, you know.
I'm so shaky. I think I'm just stay sitting until I will go. Okay. Yeah, like why do you have that stuff on his nose? It was like, what is that?
So, like I said, I'm not a medical personnel person, but what the ambulance said was he did have blood in his mouth. So, you know, they don't know. It might have been an aneurysm. They don't know.
His dad has blood clots. I mean, he had blood in his stuff. It was like, looked like snot or something.
Yeah, because when they do the CPR, it gets the blood flowing and it gets moving. And if it's not pumping, it'll.
Oh my god. Well, when I was trying to just do the chest compressions and just.
So Kouri, does he have any other medications except for that?
He had high cholesterol.
Where would he keep his medications?
Our house cleaner, she's cleaned it. I can't find where she put anything. But he doesn't take his Lyme disease doctor just is weaning him off of his Lyme disease medication, so he's just taking vitamins for that. It gave him something like for the pain because it causes him to, it just burns his body, so he has pain medicine. And
Is it that green bottle?
I honest to God don't know. I don't know. That was the one I found in his bag that he just took to St. George because we just went to St. George. I would assume that, but if that looked old to me, I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Scott, you can take it down. And the jury will have a chance to review this in their deliberations as well if you didn't have a chance to read it. So Deputy Nguyen, other than what we saw on that body camera footage, what were your other responsibilities that night at the home?
Also crime scene log. And a
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Could you ask him to move just move the mic up? Yeah.
Move it closer to your face. Like you can hold the mic towards you if you like.
so crime scene log and also a death checklist.
As part of that death checklist, are you looking for anything that might have explained Eric Richins' death?
Yes, there's certain questions that we ask and we just fill in the answers.
So you mentioned on the video that you were securing the scene. Was that something else that you were doing?
Yes, I was.
So we also saw in the video that Kouri Richins volunteered THC gummies to you. Did
Yes.
you see any THC gummies in the home?
No, I did not.
What would you have done if you had seen them?
I would document where they were at and advise the detectives and CSI upon their arrival of where it was at.
As you're looking for things that might have explained Eric Richins' death, did you see any illicit drugs in the home?
I did not.
What would you have done if you had?
Again, document where they were at and relay that to investigations.
And same question for drug paraphernalia. Did you see any drug paraphernalia in the home?
I did not.
And what would you have done if you had?
Document where it was and relay it to investigations.
Give me just a moment. Those are all my questions for you. Thank you, Deputy Nguyen.
Mr. Ramos.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, before we get started in motion, as we were watching the video, I had what had previously been provided to defense, a transcript. And we've seen the transcript that was shown.
Mr. Ramos, is this the same or different than 1-4T?
So, and I'll explain.
Or is it a partial?
So it appears to be sections, clips. So as this was being presented, that's what I was going off of. I noticed that the transcript that was presented is different than what we have.
Come on. Mr. Ramos, please proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Nguyen, good afternoon. I don't even know what time it is.
Good afternoon.
Let's start off where we just left off. Ms. Shervanack was asking you questions about what it is that you did or what you would have done had you found certain things. Fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you arrived, what we just saw, the videos we saw, that's from your body cam.
Yes.
You indicated that it is always off unless you turn it on. I think is what you meant. I think you said it's always on until you turn it on, but what you meant was it's always off until you turn it on. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in this case, we saw clips of it. Would you agree that's correct?
That is correct.
That is not from the beginning to the end, correct?
Correct.
Now, you didn't participate in which clips were shown, correct?
I was not.
Okay. Now, at one point, you do turn off your body cam. Do you recall?
I don't recall.
You don't recall doing that?
I don't recall.
Okay. If you had turned it off, when would you have turned it off?
When the call was over.
Okay. So if you were still inside the house doing the investigation, the camera would remain on.
Yes.
Okay. And if you had turned it on or off, you would have indicated that in your report, correct?
Yes.
For any other reason other than the call was over. Excuse me.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you indicated that you arrived around 3:40. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, you left, I believe it's Officer Deputy Pimentel. You let him get out, check out. Is that correct? When it was time for him to go off duty?
I think so.
Okay. How long were you there?
I don't recall.
2 hours?
I don't recall.
Were you there when the Mr. Richins' body was removed?
I was not.
You were not. So it was before then?
Yes.
Okay. Was it before or after Mr. Gene Richins arrived?
It was after.
Okay. Do you recall anything about when you left?
I don't.
Okay. Do you recall seeing Deputy Woody, Detective Woody?
I don't recall.
Would looking at your report refresh your recollection? Do you have a copy of it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Could you go ahead and pull that up? And I'm going to see what you have.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. This is different from what I
It's
have.
probably you have it on the other side too.
Yes. Sorry. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure there's different formats. So I just want to make sure I have the same one you do. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. I'm going to give this back to you.
Okay.
Go ahead and take a look at that or any other reports you have. And let me know what time you left.
It's not timestamped. So probably at the last paragraph where it says, upon their arrival, I released the scene to Deputy Orgel and I responded to the sheriff's office to book in the photos from the incident and uploaded the death investigation checklist.
Okay. So then if you go to the paragraph before that, does that give you a better idea of who was present when you were still there?
Yes.
Tell me.
Well, while waiting for...
You don't have to read it. You could just, if that's refresh your memory.
So After Sergeant DiBotello left, upon Deputy Orgel and Detective Woody and the medical examiner sessions upon their arrival, then I left.
Okay, so then at some point after you let DiBotello go off watch, you then waited for those three individuals, correct?
Yes.
Orgel,
Orgel, yes.
Orgel, apologies. Sessions
Yes.
and Woody.
Yes.
So they arrived and then you left, correct?
Yes.
Did you speak with Woody?
I think no. I don't recall. I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't recall.
Would you have put it in your notes?
Yes.
Okay. And it's not in your notes.
No.
And your body cam, based on what you just said earlier, would have still been on while Woody, while Orgel, while Sessions were there, right?
Yes.
Unless you would have shut it off,
Yes.
which you didn't.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to put up just a still in just a minute of your body cam, okay? But before I do that, I want to ask you about your body cam. What software or what hardware does your body cam use?
I don't know.
You're not familiar with Axon?
It wasn't an Axon.
It wasn't an Axon.
No, it was not.
So what is it?
It was at the time WatchGuard.
WatchGuard. Now, does WatchGuard that you use, does that have an audit trail system?
I don't recall.
Okay. When you're done with a call, what happens to that video?
It gets uploaded.
Automatically?
Upon, I think that system, when we stop it and we go to the station, it uploads.
Okay. And did you do that here?
Do it where?
In this case?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
And where did you do that?
I don't recall.
Now, this wasn't the first time you were wearing that body cam, was it?
It was not.
Okay. How many times had you worn that body cam before March 4th?
A lot.
5?
More.
20?
More.
100?
More.
Thousands?
Possibly.
And in those thousands, you've uploaded videos of your body cam, correct?
Correct.
You're familiar with the footage and how to upload it.
At this time, I don't remember because we changed systems and I don't remember how that system worked.
Does it have a little USB cord?
No, I think it automatically Wi-Fi at that system was a Wi-Fi.
Perfect. So now we have Wi-Fi. Which Wi-Fi? At your home?
No.
Okay. Where?
A secured Wi-Fi at the office.
Okay. So you would have come back here, just across the ways here, correct?
Yes.
And would it have been in your desk?
No.
A separate room?
No.
Where?
In my car.
In your car.
Yes.
So you connect to the Wi-Fi in your car or to the station?
Station.
Okay. So you come back and you do a Wi-Fi upload, correct?
Correct.
Now, at one point, you're told that it's been uploaded successfully.
I don't get notification that it's been complete.
So you just show up and it just automatically goes?
Yes.
You don't press a button saying upload?
No.
Okay, so now the software system it's an automatic Wi-Fi connection without you having to do anything to your body cam. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And at one point, you did review what we just saw, or the full length of the body cam we just saw, correct?
Correct.
And you made sure that it was complete, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if let me ask you this. In your report, since you don't remember, in your report, can you please look to see if you indicate that you shut off the body cam for any reason?
I did not.
So you did not shut it off?
No, I did not put that in my report that I shut it off.
Okay. Now, sitting here right now, you don't know if you shut it off before Mr. Orgel or Miss Sessions or Miss Woody arrived, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's talk about how you secured the crime scene. Where we saw you going around the house was limited to the first floor, correct?
Correct.
Did you go anywhere else?
Just the living room.
Okay. You didn't go in the kitchen?
No,
You didn't go in the garage?
I did not.
The detached garage?
I did not.
Okay. Now you took photographs, right?
Yes.
And you started getting bits and pieces about what happened, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And you started telling your fellow deputies about it, correct?
Correct.
And you start piecing everything together, right?
Correct.
Okay. You heard, for example, or you saw rather, when you arrived, EMS personnel, correct?
Correct.
Now, do you know any of those? Did you know any of those EMS personnel before arriving?
Before arriving, I didn't know who was responding.
But individually, have you worked with them before?
Only one.
Which one was that?
Sergeant Cernich.
Cernich. He's the one in the red, right?
Correct.
Okay. And Cernich and all the other EMS are talking amongst themselves about what happened. Correct?
I assume I wasn't listening.
Okay. When Detective Woody appears, shows up to relieve you, you don't recall whether you gave Woody any information about what you have learned?
I do not.
Okay. You would have put that in your notes.
That I would have passed on information.
Correct.
Possibly. If not, I would just tell her, explain her a brief of what I observed and to pass on information.
Right, because this is a case where there is a dead body, right?
Yes.
And a detective is coming, right?
Yes.
You yourself told the family, told Kouri, hey, this is the protocol. This is what's going to happen, right?
Correct.
Because of his young age, right?
Correct.
Because he didn't have any mental health problems.
Correct.
Because he wasn't suicidal.
Correct.
All of these questions that you were asking Kouri were important, correct?
Correct.
And you were using it not only to fill out a form, right? It was to gather information.
On the form.
But for yourself.
On the form so that we're required to ask.
Okay, so you weren't trying to get any information and pass it on to any other detective coming in to see what happened to Mr. Richins?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was getting additional information.
Of course. Because
Yes.
this is important,
Yes.
right? Just like as counsel had indicated earlier, precision in this profession matters, and it matters even more in your profession, correct?
Correct.
So, you're there, you're gathering information for whatever's to come, correct?
Correct.
Because you don't know what's going to happen to this case that you were dispatched to, correct?
Correct.
You don't know if somebody's going to be charged, correct?
Correct.
You are a fact gatherer, correct?
Correct.
More importantly, you're a truth seeker, correct?
Correct.
Because you don't care or shouldn't care what this piece of evidence here means, correct?
But I do care if it's evidence.
But that's important. My point is this, is you are going to approach every single piece of evidence equally.
Correct.
Okay. And in order to do that, you need to know what it is that you're looking for, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay, let's take this example. You knew that they had taken a celebratory shot, correct?
A drink?
A drink.
Yes.
Okay. So, you know he's young, Mr. Richins, correct?
Correct.
You know that the protocol is to have a deputy and a medical examiner come in, correct?
Correct.
Because it's unusual that he died, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So maybe something is in this drink, correct?
Possibly, but
Possibly. Possibly. Did you possibly go to the kitchen?
I did not.
You did not. Did you possibly look in the sink?
I did not.
You did not. Did you possibly tell another deputy he was there? Go to the kitchen.
I did not.
Did you possibly tell somebody else, go look in the sink?
I did not.
You did not. That possibly is important, right?
Yes.
Yes. When somebody loses their life, it's important, right?
Yes.
You asked, and we all heard you asked Miss Richins countless questions, right?
Yes.
And she answered all of them.
Yes.
Yes. You asked her questions that were on your sheet, right?
Yes.
And then you asked her questions as things came up, right?
I did. Yes.
Yes. Now, we saw you standing in the hall, and you were preventing people from going into her master bedroom, correct?
Correct.
To preserve the scene, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the reason you're doing that is because of all of these possiblies, correct?
Correct.
So, one of those possibilities was that hydrocodone bottle, correct?
Correct.
Now, you took a picture of it.
I don't recall taking a picture of it.
Do you recall somebody taking a picture of it?
Yes.
Do you recall somebody opening it?
I don't recall.
Do you recall somebody taking a picture of the inside of it?
I don't recall.
Do you recall getting that hydrocodone bottle and putting it in an evidence bag?
I did not do that.
You did not. Did anybody do that?
I don't recall.
Now, having a celebratory drink, you found out, happened in the house, correct?
Yes.
They didn't go out somewhere, correct?
Correct.
And you knew that Miss Richins' mother was also there, right?
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I didn't know she was there.
Really? I mean, have 1 second. I think we all knew that she was there because we just heard Miss Darden say, yeah, you look pale. So you didn't know that Kouri's mom was there the night before?
I did not know she was in the house the night before.
Fair. Now, you were told, and you do know, that Kouri said, maybe he took some gummies? You remember that, right?
Yes.
And you have, I imagine, familiarity with gummies, right?
Yes.
Now, to be clear, I'm not saying you take them. I'm just saying you're familiar with them, correct?
Yes.
You know how big they are. They're not that big,
No.
right?
Yes.
You didn't search for those.
No, I did not specifically search for those.
Not specifically. Please elaborate.
I didn't go out and search because I was not in charge of looking for medication or anything like that.
Oh, so you weren't in charge of it. Who was?
Deputy Pimentel.
Okay. So you told Deputy Pimentel to go do that.
That was his job, to look for medications or anything like that.
Right. But what I'm saying is, somebody would have to tell him, hey, go search for this.
I passed that information to Sergeant DiBotello.
Correct. You're passing along the information. Now, you were there for an unknown time, and you indicated Pimentel was the one who's in charge of looking for that, correct?
Yes, he was assigned for that duty.
Now, at one point, you relieve him, correct?
Deputy Pimentel?
Correct.
I don't recall.
You just indicated a little bit ago that you relieved him so he can leave.
Oh, when he left, yes. For him to leave.
Correct. You relieved him, right?
Yeah, not the medical checklist duty, but to relieve him to leave.
Correct.
Yes.
On his way home, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So who did you assign to take over his responsibility?
I don't recall.
Could you please look at your report?
I don't indicate that. I did not indicate that in my report.
So how would we know if that was even done?
Because Deputy Pimentel will possibly write a supplemental report that cover what he did.
Okay. So we'll ask. When he's called, let's say we'll ask him. Now, here's a thought: you don't search for guns, and you would agree this whole environment's a traumatic environment.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
For everybody, correct?
Correct.
Yourself included.
Correct.
I mean, there's such a thing as secondary trauma, correct?
Correct.
So let's give everybody some grace. Now, You found out about the gummies from who?
Found out what gummies.
Who told you that he might have taken gummies?
Oh, from Miss Kouri Richins.
Correct. So who would know where the gummies are?
Miss Kouri Richins.
And did you ask her?
I did not specifically ask her about the gummies.
Not specifically about the gummies. Please elaborate.
I asked her about his medical prescriptions.
Nope. We're talking about the gummies. Did you ask her, Miss Richins, about the gummies that she told you about, that she volunteered? Did you ask her where they were?
I did not.
You did not. Did you tell Pimentel to ask her?
I did not.
You did not. So it's not like they were hidden somewhere. You knew where they could have been, correct?
I did not know where they...
You could have asked the question. You couldn't have asked them where they were.
I could have.
And you did it, right?
Correct.
Now, you have been an officer since 2012, correct?
In Utah, yes, correct.
What about before?
2003.
2003. In that time, you've learned quite a bit of things, correct?
Correct.
How to investigate, correct?
Correct.
How to document, correct?
Correct.
How to interview, correct?
Correct.
How important each case is, correct?
Correct.
Because everybody counts or nobody counts, correct?
Correct.
Now, we talked about things that you didn't do. Let's talk about one thing you did. Miss Richins told you how she got into bed and felt Eric's cold body, right?
Yes.
And she starts trying to say, well, I mean, we keep the temperature up, right? Or down, correct?
Yes.
And what do you do with that piece of information? What do you notice?
That the temperature was set at 70 degrees.
Cold body, and you check thermostat, correct?
Correct.
And you even make a note that you thought it was a little warm, correct?
I put down the temperature, correct.
What was the temperature?
70.
And what did it actually read at?
71.
That's attention to detail, right?
Correct.
Because she told you something about a temperature and you wanted to verify, correct?
Correct.
But it's only what you want to verify, correct?
No.
It's not. We'll leave it. Let's talk about times. Everybody's looking at that clock right now, and I'll try to shut up real quick. But I might need to come back tomorrow, Judge. You gathered information about time, correct?
Correct.
You even get down to the minute at some points, correct?
Correct.
When you're filling out the form, for example. Let's go back to that. You remember there was a group of EMS people, including Mr. Cernich, correct?
Correct.
And you're writing down, what time did you guys get here? Correct?
I did not ask that question.
Did you overhear it?
I did not.
Really? Okay. Leave it alone. You need to document when things happen and where they happen, correct?
Correct.
Because you know that the information that's going to go into your report is going to be seen by other officers, correct?
Correct.
By possibly prosecutors, correct?
Correct.
By possibly judges, correct?
Correct.
By possibly jurors, correct?
Correct.
So, in your report, go ahead and review it and tell me if you identify times there.
There's several.
Let's start with the first. Are you on paragraph, 3?
Yes.
The narrative? Okay. And what is that time related?
The time they had a drink.
Which was what?
9 o'clock.
Now, is that exactly 9 o'clock?
On my report?
No. Did it actually happen at 9 o'clock?
No, Miss Richins advised me that they had a drink at 9 o'clock.
Okay. And did you, confirm with her how she knew that?
No, I took her word for it.
Correct. Now, you arrived at 3:40. Okay. What time were you dispatched?
I don't recall.
Were you dispatched? Would your dispatch be on your report?
Probably in the call logs.
Do you have that?
I do not.
Okay. Do you think did it take you 40 minutes to get there?
I don't recall.
I'll leave it alone. So she says about 9 o'clock. You get there at 3:40, approximately, right?
Yes.
Now, during this time, you had some conversations with the EMS. I believe it was Offred that we saw in the video. Is that correct?
Upon arrival?
No. During your investigation, during the video we just saw at the end, she indicated, it's the lady who indicated, we think it's an aneurysm.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. And she had said he had been cold for a while, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the reason times are important, right, is because you need to try to figure out, hey, when did he die, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say around 9, when you put around 9 in your report, or Ms. Richins says around 9, that's not exact, correct?
It's going off her statement.
A generalization, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's go to the next one. When's the next time you see a time arrival there?
The time they went to bed.
And when was that?
9:30.
So you say go to bed. Now, is that really when she closed her eyes and she was asleep?
The time she went to bed. I'm sorry.
Correct. Just went to bed, right? Like to the
Yes.
bedroom to start going to sleep. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Judge, I think I'm pushing it. May we rest here and pick it up tomorrow? No, we're not. Is that okay?
Your Honor, I guess the fundamental question is how much longer?
Ladies and gentlemen, we've worked hard today. I appreciate your patience. Let's recess for the day. Some instructions, please, with fair warning that you will quickly become tired of me saying this, but I have to say it nonetheless. First, I need you to be back ready to get back to work tomorrow morning at 8:30, please. And if I can navigate my notes here, give me one moment. This evening, please remember, do not speak to anyone about this case. Don't speak to each other about it. Do not let anyone engage you about the case. It is off limits. Please do not read, watch, or listen to anything about the case. You have to either actually or effectively change the channel. Move on if you see a headline, go to a different website, change the radio channel, go to another TV channel. Please do not read, listen, or watch anything about the case. Please don't post anything about the case. No research, no Google, no maps, no dictionary. Everything you learn about this case, you have to learn in the courtroom. I appreciate your patience. Please travel safely. Follow the deputy's instructions. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:30. You can leave those on your chair if you want. Is that okay? Yeah. Thank you. All right, folks, have a seat. Deputy, I need you to be back tomorrow morning at 8:30.
Yeah.
Make that happen.
Yes.
Tonight, don't talk to anybody about your testimony. Okay. Can you agree to do that?
I agree.
Okay. You're free to go for the night, sir. Thank you. One moment, Counsel. Okay. Mr. Ramos, Ms. Nestor, Ms. Lewis, anything on the record today? Mr. Bloodworth, Ms. Shervanek.
Yes, Your Honor. Can we have a brief discussion as it relates to chain of custody, the Wynea case, and the state's need to bring in certain chain of custody witnesses, probably beginning tomorrow?
Okay. This is new to me. I don't have much context for it. Help me out.
Do you want to handle it?
I'm happy to.
All right. Can I turn it over to Ms. Sherwood?
Sure, of course.
Thank you.
Always.
So, Your Honor, for the benefit of the record and for planning purposes for witness testimony tomorrow, a few days ago, the defense notified us that they are not stipulating to the chain of custody as it relates to the electronics, specifically phones, in this case.
And the body.
I thought they
No,
stipulated.
they stuck to the
Yeah.
body. Got it.
So the state does not intend to call every law enforcement official who handled each phone. And the basis for this is State v. Wynea, 754 P. 2nd 667. Wynea essentially says the conclusion there is that once the evidence is in the hands of the state, it is generally presumed that that item is handled with regularity, and absent an affirmative showing of bad faith or actual tampering, the chain of custody has been preserved. And so the state's position is that the defense has not, through either motion or proffer, made any affirmative showing of bad faith or actual tampering of these items. And absent that showing by the defense, it's the state's position we are not required to bring each of these witnesses in to testify in order to admit these items to evidence.
Will you be laying foundation for, I'm inferring, a warrant was served, this device was seized, it was booked into evidence, it was tagged in this way. That's how we know this information was received from that device.
Correct.
So you'll be calling that witness or witnesses to get to that point.
Certainly how the item was found, and our crime scene technician, and being transparent, our crime scene technician, Miss Gibson, is prepared to testify. This item was booked into evidence. It was packaged in this way. I secured it in an evidence locker. And after that point, it is released at times for different investigative purposes and always within the hands of the law enforcement system. And so that's the basis for our point today.
In the ruling, are you asking for a ruling today or just putting this on the court and opposing counsel's radar?
Partially the latter, because we want to be able to plan for these witnesses. Certainly it adds quite a bit of people.
Sure.
If we are asked to do that. And our position is that, and maybe that is our ask, is without that affirmative showing from the defense that would bad faith or actual tampering, then the state is not required to bring in every law enforcement official who handled those items.
We get a clarification, Your Honor, just to make sure so that we can communicate and respond effectively. So she's talking about once they've got the phone checked into evidence from then on, you're not talking about the people who located it and turned it into Ms. Gibson. You're talking about once Ms. Gibson checks it into the evidence locker or takes official control of the item, everyone who touched it after that. Is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's the clarification I needed.
Okay, so I think I understand the state's position. Does the defense need to put anything on the record about this today?
Can we talk about it overnight and respond in the morning?
Yeah, candidly,
You
the
can send
first
me
the first
an
people you should respond to are the state.
Yeah, we'll talk to Ms. Schmerna.
Okay. We can take this up first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Give me a preview of who you're calling tomorrow. We need to finish with.
Yeah, so we have Deputy Nguyen. We intend to call the paramedic on scene. We have two other first responders who were there, Andy Cernich and Deputy Pimentel. And then after that, we are at Miss Gibson. So she is the one that we're seeking to admit these items through.
Okay. It sounds like other than her, there wouldn't be testimony from investigating officers who executed the search warrant and bagged the evidence. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
It sounds like other than crime scene tech Gibson, they're not planning to offer testimony of investigating officers who executed a warrant and bagged the evidence.
That's what I was asking. That was my clarification.
I think we now know.
So, okay, so that's
This
a
is part
different.
of the discussion I think you need to have with the state.
Okay, so they don't want to call anybody except Ms. Gibson. That's
Not
it.
comfortable getting into this on generalizations because there's lots of evidence that was seized and it may be different depending on which piece of evidence we're talking about.
I'm talking about cell phones.
But there are a couple of those, if not
Right.
more.
There
Yeah.
are.
Your Honor, the state intends to call the officer that located the phone, and then the crime scene tech, I think it's almost exclusively Chelsea,
That's all.
that bagged the phone.
Okay.
So, for example, without just for my helping me understand the argument here,
Yeah.
I recall the phone that was in the cup holder when Deputy Maynard stopped Ms. Richins when she was in her vehicle.
For example.
For example, who's getting called to say, I took that phone and put it in an evidence bag?
So I think to use that example, the example is something like Deputy Maynard gets called and says, I walked over to Kouri Richins' car. She handed me the phone. I took it. I handed it to briefly to Deputy Woody. I sat there and saw her hold it for a few seconds, but she handed it back to me. And then I took it with me to the home where I handed it to Chelsea Gibson, who bagged it.
Okay. I appreciate that. Something similar for the other phones.
Yes, there's phones. There's also, they're the ones that have multiple kind of chain links of custody after in the state's possession, because they get brought out to be downloaded and put back and then brought out to be, analyzed.
But the state's position is once we get it to Technician Gibson,
correct,
we, in the absence of an affirmative showing of bad faith or actual tampering under Wainea, we've satisfied our, my words, not the case's prima facie burden of showing chain of custody.
We have satisfied, yes, everything after that will go to weight, not admissibility.
Correct. I understand. Except
the extractor. We're not trying to be ridiculous. We don't want every single person whose finger ever touched the phone. We haven't asked for that with the evidence. We are not asking for that for anything, except for the body. But the person who extracted all the information from the phone is a key witness. I mean, that's a key part of the handling of the evidence. So are you saying you're not even going to call the extractor? You're just going to call Chelsea Gibson?
No.
Counsel, rather than doing this in real time,
we will
in front of a room, have a discussion with each other.
We will.
Let me know if there's something specific you want me to get into. We can readdress this tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Okay. Some additional discussions may be necessary.
Understood.
Okay. Anything else on the record today, Mr. Bloodworth?
No, yeah.
All right. May we check in tomorrow morning, say at 8:15, just to see where we are before we get...
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience today. The court is in recess. Mr. Ramos, at sidebar, you raised a 1006 issue related to that body cam. It's unclear to me what other portions the defendant thinks are necessary to play. Can you give me a little more detail about defendant's position on that?
Yes, sir. Last night I reviewed the footage again, and I was asking myself that question, whether we even need to go here.
Right.
I don't think we do.
Okay.
I think what wasn't covered yesterday will likely be covered today, and then I'll just make it clear to the jury that, hey, this is edited. Those clips, it seems like it's a stream. It's not. Just address or clarify that for the jury.
Okay.
So I don't think there's going to be an issue, Judge.
Thank you. Yep. I appreciate that.
Your Honor, in that clarification, at the bottom, there is the transcript, and you can see the page and line number on the transcript jump dramatically.
Right.
There's a black, like a second or two of black. It comes back on, page and line number jump.
Alex, they won't think you're here today.
I imagine you'll take your moments to highlight that for the jury in the way you see fit. I just wanted to make sure, or I just wanted to, forgive me, get to the bottom of whether we needed to show more and avoid wasting time showing the whole thing again.
The 106 stuff.
Yeah, understood.
Yes.
Okay, anything else I need to handle right now regarding chain of custody related to the electronic devices?
Your Honor, we might need to wait just a moment.
Okay. Yeah. Need a plan candidate. No. Counsel, we're still on the record. Ms. Nestor, may I put you on the spot for a moment?
Yes, sir.
Late in the day yesterday, we had a initial conversation regarding chain of custody related to some electronic devices like phones.
Right.
Anything further on that we need to discuss today, or at least this morning?
So, Your Honor, the only two people we need are the person that took the phone into custody and the person that can lay the foundation for the extraction. We don't need anybody else.
The person that can lay the foundation for the extraction, though, might be crime scene technician Gibson in terms of.
She did some of the extractions.
But she also checked it out to some contractors. She can lay foundation for that.
Is that?
I want to be clear. I'm only talking about admissibility. You all are allowed to make whatever arguments you want to make regarding.
Sure. In reviewing chain of custody witnesses leading up to the trial, we discovered that there was just some irregularities. Thank you. As to how the devices themselves were handled.
Okay.
And so that was our initial concern. Now, we believe that everything could actually be sent by either Ms. Gibson, if she's the one who did the extractions, or gave it to another officer who then did the extraction. I think really the foundation issue is going to come in through their expert, Coach Beans.
Okay.
Who will then say, hey, I used this extraction from this extractor, right? And then that will build the bridge.
Okay.
So I think we're going to be fine.
All right.
That was our main concern, is just making sure that we know, however they want to put it up, which extractions and who handled them. That's it.
Sounds like this is a non-issue at the moment, Mr.
I think so.
Yeah.
I agree, Your Honor. We'll burn any bridges we need to when we get there.
Understood. Okay, very good. We are going to begin this morning with completion of cross-examination of Deputy Nguyen. Is that your expectation, Ms. Sherbanek?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Ramos?
Sorry, did I speak to
My apologies. We're going to complete cross-examination of Deputy Nguyen.
Yes.
And then we'll go from there. Okay, sounds good. Anything else from the defense before we invite the jury in?
No.
Yeah, I can. Ms. Sherbanek, Mr. Bloodworth, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. May we invite Deputy Nguyen in and get rolling?
I apologize, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay, very good. Let's invite the jury in, please.
Judge, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We just have 1 minute.
Of course.
Just to make sure everything's set up on our end.
Yeah, you want to test it?
I think so. That way we're not.
Yeah,
doing
let's do it.
from the jury.
Katie, are you ready to test that table over there?
30 seconds.
No problem.
And just while we're doing that, I'll just show Ms. Sherbanek what I'm going to show. So we're
Okay. Scott, can we test you while we're doing it? Do you have something else? Something I can put up?
All right.
Let's see. Give me a moment here, Scott. I can see your desktop, but I can't control the screens.
To refresh him.
Correct.
Give me a second here. No, I can see what you can see on your laptop. What I'm not able to do, and I appreciate that we're doing this now. Thanks for the suggestion. Not yet. It should have worked. Brittany, something's going on here. Something's going on between SignApp and the HDTV. There we go. Yeah, probably gonna have to reboot. Yeah, folks, I apologize. This is going to take 5 minutes. It's through no fault of yours. If you're wondering what I'm looking at the reflection of the HDTV. Yeah, I apologize. Can we go off the record, please?
All right, jury.
Good morning. Welcome back. Feel free to have a seat as you come in. Please have a seat. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the record. We will begin this morning with completion of cross-examination of Deputy Nguyen. We can invite Deputy Nguyen into the courtroom, please. Deputy, let's get you sworn back in. If you'd step in front of Brittany, please.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury? Thank you. Have a seat.
Mr. Ramos, please proceed.
Thank you, Judge.
Good morning.
I have 6 post-it notes here of just topics I want to talk about. Won't take up too much time. And I do want to be fair to you. I do have 2 things I want you to look at that I think will refresh your recollection in terms of timing. Okay?
Okay.
And this is in terms of when you arrived and when you left. So I've highlighted them for you. Have this. I don't think you need that. I think you know the codes. So take a look at those and let me know if you recognize them.
Yes.
Okay. Now, having reviewed those, would those documents give you an idea of when you arrived at the Willow Creek home, as well as when you left?
Yes.
Okay. And would it also refresh your recollection to know who was there while you were there?
Yes.
And seeing those, can you tell me approximately how long you were there, as well, how long you were there along with Detective Woody?
I arrived at 3:40, and it looks like. Can I refer to this?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. Looks like I dispatched out of the residence and en route to the station around 5:49.
Okay. And then if you look at the crime scene log, and you see the time in, the time out columns,
Okay.
and go down to your name,
Yes.
and then it's followed by Detective Woody, right?
Yes.
Now, when do you leave? I'm sorry. When does Detective Woody arrive?
Looks like she arrived at 5:17 per the crime scene log.
And then what about you? What time did you leave?
I left at, says here, 5:41.
Okay. Now, and you gave us another number just now. It was 5:49, right? That was based on the dispatch log, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so there's about an 8-minute discrepancy, right?
Yes.
Now, that is simply you leaving the actual residence and then walking to your car, maybe doing some things in your car, getting ready to leave. And then when you're formally leaving, that's when you dispatch 5:49, right?
Yes.
So there's specific numbers, but there's things in between, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the reason I want to bring that up is obviously it's important to know who was there, how long you were there. Approximately 24 minutes between yourself and Detective Woody that you guys were at the crime scene together, correct?
Yes, possibly, yes.
Well, she checked in at, what do you mean possibly? She checked in.
Because these numbers depends on who does the crime scene log. If they log me out, let's just say their watch at a certain time, that's their time logging me out.
Okay, so
I'm not right. Not actually writing the time I check out.
Okay, so who
on the
did
crime
that?
scene log.
Who did that?
I'm assuming Deputy Orgel.
Deputy Orgel.
Orgel.
Now, you have no reason to think that Deputy Orgel's watch would be 10 minutes off.
I can't.
Okay. But we can tell that more or less 5:41, 5:49, it's around that time.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay. So let's give it 15 minutes instead of the 24, based on the crime scene log. You were with Detective Woody for about 15 minutes, correct?
Possibly, yes.
You were in the same residence, in the same vicinity.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not saying you're, linked arms with her, right? You were just there at the crime scene.
Yes.
Okay. According to the crime scene log.
Yes.
Okay. So, just like you explained now, things could be off, right? Watch what you remember, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we all watched the video yesterday, and there was a portion in that video where you informed Officer DiVotello, kind of the information you're gathering. We talked about that a lot yesterday. Okay?
Yes.
So I want to direct your attention there.
Okay.
I don't expect you to remember exactly what happened. The state has presented a transcript. Okay, so I'm going to provide this to you. Okay.
Okay.
And I want you to review this area that I am circling. Okay. Just to refresh your recollection. Okay.
Okay.
All right. This area right here.
Can I grab?
Yeah. Thanks.
Tell me where you're looking.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is page 14 on the top right corner. Okay. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us what you told Officer DiVotello at that point. Doesn't have to be exact. Just give me an idea.
So I advised him that, gave him a little brief of what I gathered and what Miss Kouri Richins stated was. And I said that from approximately 9:30, she went to bed. And then approximately 3 o'clock, She went back into bed with Mr. Richins, at which time he was cold and heavy.
Perfect. Now, I'm going to provide this back to you. I'm going to be looking at the last line of page 9 and then the first paragraph of page 10. Okay. So it starts here, this line right here, and then move on to the first paragraph of this page. Okay.
Okay.
So you were having this conversation, and I say conversation, I think that's important because this isn't an interview, right?
Your Honor,
Yep.
I just take it from the last judge.
Yes, please.
So, as I was saying, I say conversation because this isn't a formal interview, right?
Correct.
This is going off of the death checklist that you mentioned yesterday.
Correct.
Okay. Now, in this conversation, you do get information from Miss Richins, and in the paragraph that you just read, okay? And what did you learn at that point?
Learned the
Yeah.
second paragraph that you showed me.
Correct. The one that I just showed you. Yes.
That she stated that she placed a blanket on him because she felt that he was cold.
Correct. And then what else?
She turned on the light and realized what he wasn't responsive.
So right now, that's exactly what I want to talk about. He said that he felt cold, and then she turned on the light. Okay. I'm gonna give this back to you.
Okay.
Focus on the time in between. Okay.
We'll be looking at a minute.
Oh, just this underlined portion. Okay. Just read that to yourself.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So from the time that she fell and got into bed and felt his cold body, she put a blanket on, like you said. And then what did she do?
She turned on the light. She felt that he wasn't breathing, so she turned on the light.
How long?
It says in the statement 1 minute.
For a minute.
For a minute.
Correct. Now, we don't know, just like there are some changes for you as you testified earlier between 541, 549, a minute, right? Like for a minute, it's an expression, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So she gets into bed, she feels her cold husband, and she stays there for a minute. And then she doesn't hear him breathing. Okay? Is that right?
Correct.
Or anything.
It says she didn't feel him breathing.
Or anything.
Or anything.
Now, that's important. That's an important detail. Correct?
Correct.
That information wasn't given to DiPotello a couple minutes later, correct? In what we just read earlier.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I'm getting through these. During this entire conversation that you've had with her, we saw yesterday, and just to reiterate, it was a edited clip, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we could see on the bottom, the jury can follow along to see how quickly the edits are, okay? But I want to talk about that entire conversation that you had with her, okay? Miss Richins was emotional, right? Right?
Yes, she was emotional.
And she was upset.
Yes.
And that's common, right? I mean, that's not unexpected for somebody who just lost their husband, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, would it surprise you if another one of your officers indicated that you thought she was not emotional?
Would it surprise me?
Yeah. Like, would you have made that statement?
No, I don't know Miss Richins, so I don't know how her emotion, as in personal when I arrived, what I see, but through the call, then I start putting things together, details of how she acts.
Yeah, those details are important. We talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah, just like you said, we saw those. She was emotional. She was upset. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about the death investigation checklist. Okay? We talked about yesterday about what you did. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to go to this one. This was presented yesterday in evidence. That's the voluntary statement. You recall that?
Yes.
Okay.
That is a voluntary statement.
Now, you didn't give this to Miss Richins.
I did not.
Okay. Now, if you look around right before Miss Richins' written statement, you see there's a line there. I want you to read that line, okay? It's followed by a bold lettering.
Which
Do you mind playing
Yeah.
for Mr. Ramos?
So right above written statement, this line right here.
where it says describe.
Correct. Just read that to yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you didn't do this one, but you've done lots of these voluntary statements, correct?
Yes.
You did them now.
Yes.
Now, the point of a voluntary statement is to get details, correct?
Gather details. Yes.
And now, there are different types of voluntary statements. There are different purposes for voluntary statements, correct?
Correct.
So, for example, perhaps I'm a witness to a car accident. You might give me this voluntary statement, correct?
Correct.
I'm not under suspicion of anything. I'm just a witness, correct?
Correct.
Now, there's other ones where maybe I was the driver and maybe I might be at fault, correct?
Correct.
And you would still say, hey, maybe you want to give me that voluntary statement, correct?
Correct.
Now, in that statement, it indicates that it gives a discretion to the officer, deputy, who is giving this voluntary statement, correct?
And what discretions?
The bolded part here that's highlighted.
Okay. Yes.
Right. So what I mean by discretion is that it's the deputy who has to provide instruction to whoever it is that he's providing this to. Correct?
Correct.
Because maybe what I think is important is not necessarily important to you. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, again, to be fair, you're not the one who provided this to Miss Richins, correct?
That is correct.
And you don't know what instructions were given to Miss Richins, correct?
That is correct.
And you don't know if any clarifications were needed or anything, correct?
That is correct.
And as far as you know, this is the only voluntary statement form that Miss Richins filled out, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let's talk about the death investigation information checklist. I'm going to hand this to you, okay?
Okay.
Now, when you arrived, you were the third to arrive, correct? Not from EMS, just from Suffolk County Sheriff's Office.
Correct.
Pimentel was there.
Correct.
DeBotello was there.
Correct.
Now, you were in charge of the death investigation checklist.
That is correct.
Okay. And how is that determined?
The initial officer.
Which was who?
It was me.
Okay. And why were you the initial officer, even though you were the third one to arrive?
I was assigned to that zone to take calls in that zone.
Right. So this is your case. Your scene.
Yes.
Okay. So you're the one who gets to direct people on what to do.
Me and the sergeant, yes.
Fair. Now, you've done, I suspect, you have this death investigation checklist and you go through it, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I want to direct your attention to the scene response section, and I'll walk you through it. Okay. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 6 things I want that are highlighted there they're in bold, and we're going to go through them in order. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to start with the first one, which is securing the scene. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, even if it was my first time doing a checklist, a death investigation checklist, I would be able to follow these instructions, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, part of that securing the scene, which I think we saw you do, was you need to explain to everybody there kind of the purpose, right?
Yes.
And exactly what do you need to do?
It says find a comfortable location outside.
Let's go back to the first sentence there.
Kindly explain to the family that the scene needs to be vacated until the scene is processed.
Okay. Vacated, right?
You want me to continue?
No, vacated, correct?
Correct.
And you know what vacated means?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the following is, what is your duty? In order to vacate a scene, what do you have to do?
Remove people from the residence.
From the residence, right?
Correct.
Okay. And it actually gives you examples of where you can go, right?
Correct.
Such as a comfortable location outside, right?
Yes.
Another family or member or friend's house, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That wasn't done here.
Mr. Ramos, in fairness, it's unclear when you're asking your question.
That wasn't done here, correct?
Correct.
Now, then you have to use a crime scene log, correct?
Correct.
And that's what we just read, right? Just a little bit ago, the sheet that I gave you.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. Then you have to photograph the scene, all right? I want to talk about this specifically. When do you need to photograph the scene? After what?
After an investigation is started?
No, read it right there. Photograph the scene after what?
First picture should be...
No, before that.
No. Use a crime scene log to document who comes and goes. Photograph the scene after it is secured.
After it's secured. Now, let's talk about the first picture. We haven't seen any photographs come in from you, so I'm just asking you. The first photograph that you took, what does it tell you to do?
You should place a placard with the case information.
And did you do that here?
I did not.
Okay. Now, I'll skip to the last one, the medication log. We talked about that. You assigned that to, I believe it was Mr. Pimentel, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let's move to the second to last. What does it say that you're not supposed to do?
Can you clarify?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me walk up there. Starting right here.
Do not disturb the scene unless discussed with both investigations and OME.
Okay. Now, that's very important. You would agree?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we kind of saw some of it in the video. The jury can go back when it goes back to them and look at it for themselves. But you went around the scene. I'll back up. The scene wasn't secure, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then yourself and your two deputies or officers that were with you went around the main floor of the house, mainly the area where Mr. Richins was, and the bathroom, correct?
Correct.
And you moved things around, correct?
Correct.
And you were finding things, correct?
Correct.
And when you took photographs, you didn't put on the photographs or in your report what you moved, correct?
What I photographed?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I photographed, correct.
Right. The scene that you photographed was an unsecured scene, correct?
I would say semi-secured.
Okay. Go back to that whole scene response paragraph that we just read, okay, that we just walked through. Can you find semi-secured for me?
No, it's not it.
All right. I have an apology and a thank you for you. Apologize for putting you on the spot. As you know, this is my job, so I appreciate your time. I have no further questions for you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Ms. Shervnak, redirect within the scope of crimes.
Yes.
Did I leave something up there?
Good morning, Deputy Nguyen.
Good morning.
A few follow-up questions for you. I want to discuss with you chain of command within the sheriff's office.
Yes.
You testified that you were a patrol deputy that night.
Correct.
And within the chain of command, above a patrol deputy is a patrol sergeant.
Correct.
Above that is a lieutenant.
Correct.
Above that is a captain.
Correct.
And also within there, other assignments include investigators or detectives.
Correct.
None of those were your role that night.
No, it was not.
It was not your responsibility to tell other officers what to do.
Correct.
It was your responsibility to fill out that death checklist.
Correct.
We saw you do that on the body camera video. That's what you were filling out, right?
Yes.
When you were asking Miss Richins those questions.
Yes.
And after you filled out that checklist, what'd you do with it? When you
placed-
left the scene?
I logged it into the case file.
You logged it into the case file, and that means that it's within the police system at that point.
Yes.
Other officers can see that checklist.
Absolutely.
They can review it once you upload it.
Yes.
Same thing with the report you filled out.
Yes.
The summary that's in your report was treated the same as the checklist.
Yes.
It was uploaded to the case file
Yes.
where other officers can review it.
Yes.
As soon as it's uploaded, right? It's immediately available. to them.
Immediately.
Same situation with your body camera footage.
Yes.
Once it's uploaded to the system, every other officer can view it.
If they have authorization to view it.
Right. But officers that would need to view it have that capability.
Yes.
So all of that information was passed on to the other officers on the case.
Correct.
We talked a little bit about, with Mr. Ramos, Miss Richins' emotional reaction Have you been to other crime scenes where a death has occurred?
Yes,
How many?
lots.
Give me a ballpark. More than 20?
Yes,
More than 30?
yes,
Was Miss Richins' emotional reaction consistent with what you typically see?
no.
Please describe that.
Well, while I'm on scene at a death call, normally, the victim, they have tears. They look at me when I ask them a question while they respond. They're pretty direct when I ask a direct question. It just, every time I spoke to Miss Richins, it just seems like her face was in her hands and I couldn't see her face. I think at one time I even leaned down and just tried to look to see her emotions, but it was just a little abnormal.
Those are my questions for you. Thank you.
Within the scope of redirect, please, Mr. Ramos.
So I only have one posted. How many times had you encountered Miss Richins having lost a loved one?
Never.
Never. In fact, when I was just asking you questions before, you said, I don't know Miss Richins.
That is correct.
That you can't tell what exactly she's feeling.
Correct.
If you can't say it's abnormal.
I said it was abnormal to all the other calls that I've been on.
Let's talk about those other calls. What did you say? You said victim. You specified victim in response to Ms. Shervanak's question. That it was victims looking you in the eye, crying about what had just happened to them. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. You didn't mention that it was somebody who lost somebody. Correct?
I did not.
Okay. Now, we could argue forever about whether your emotions on the stand or mine are abnormal or not. Correct?
Correct.
The fact is, at the end of the day, no matter what Ms. Shervanak asks you or what I ask you, you don't know whether or not or what Ms. Richins was feeling. Correct?
Correct.
Ms. Shervanak, may we let the deputy step in?
Yes, sir.
You're free to go, sir. Thank you. Mike, take that. Counsel, the state's next witness.
Pimentel. Deputy Pimentel, Your Honor.
Okay. See you in the wings.